I've never been good at being in front of
Me
anybody.
either.
You're in front of me.
I know, but
It's just me, it's
that's
just me.
that little fellow up there. He makes me nervous. The
Don't
little
even look at
camera.
that. Just look at me. Ignore it.
Okay, are we going? Are we rolling? As
No, I
they
don't
say?
think we are.
No, I think we are.
Our producer just left the room.
A director.
Yes.
It's okay. Just talk to me.
Okay.
What's your name?
My name is Elizabeth Vaughn, called Betty, and you want my birthday?
I do want your birthday.
October the 19th, 1936.
That makes you
I
how
am-
old?
That makes me be 87 in October. Now, Hans. would
Wait, where were
you-
you born?
Oh, where was I born? Shreveport, Louisiana, at the Shumpert Hospital, which is no more.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
It isn't.
Been replaced.
That's right, it has been replaced.
My name is Heinz Scoville Vaughn Sr., also known as Number One. And I was born in Spartanburg, South Carolina,
Are you
on
kidding?
August 5th, 1936.
36. Thank you.
What, did I miss something?
No?
No,
Okay.
yeah,
How old are you?
let's do that.
I am 86.
86.
The 87 in August.
Never thought I'd make it.
Really?
Yeah, never thought I'd be 86.
Well, our parents died and grandparents died a lot younger because people live so much longer. But, I mean, like we didn't know our great grandparents, and here I have 6 great grandchildren, which I'm so lucky to be able to be alive and be part of their lives.
That's a good point. In fact, I only knew one of my grandparents.
Wow. I didn't realize
I
that.
met one briefly, and I met the other one was in my life 5 years.
Which one was that?
That was mother's mother.
What did you call her?
Mamaw, I think it was.
I didn't
I'm
know
not
you
sure I even remember. But she was paralyzed, and I remember her, having to do the physical therapy and all of that. It's kind of sad the last 5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember anything else about her?
Not much. Look, we came to Shreveport and when I was 2, and from South Carolina, and we lived with my grandparents for about 4 or 5 years, and then we moved to Broadmoor,
Okay.
the wrong side of the bayou.
Wrong side of the railroad track,
Yeah,
huh?
that's right. That's right. I finally drug him over there.
They do say opposites attract, right?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And we met each other at Broadmoor Junior High in the 9th grade. We were both 14, and we've been together ever since. I went off to college after Byrd High School, and spent 1 year at SMU, then came back to Centenary. Never graduated. Heinz went to Louisiana Tech and graduated from there. And we've been married, how many years? We married
66
Wow.
years.
67 years.
Will be.
67,
That's
yes.
a lifetime.
It is a lifetime, and it's been really remarkable, and we've had bumps as far as deaths in the family and things like that, but we're very lucky. We have 2 children, a son and a daughter, and then we had all our little grandchildren, so we're really lucky on all of that.
Nanny had come to Broadmoor Junior High from a ritzy school, and they couldn't go any longer. They'd cut off the grades at that school, so she had to come to
In the high school, I had to change.
Broadmoor Junior High.
Right. But it was the ninth
And
grade.
so we met at Broadmoor, and as I remember it, I saw her in the cafeteria, and that was it.
Well, he asked to carry my tray, which was very sweet, and he gave me a ride on his yellow motor scooter, which I loved dearly. We had fun, and we had a lot of friends and a lot of fun. Loved high school. He went off to camp every summer. Thought we'd get married and
Camp
live there. But
Camp Fern, yeah.
Camp Fern, and I wasn't a camper. I didn't like mosquitoes and dirt, but he was certainly.
Capital suggestion.
If you get them finished.
I'm sick.
Whoa.
Alright. That was two hands.
Marilyn? There she is. Look at the camera. What you playing? Your birthday present? Your birthday present? Get all the 4th of July decorations.
I'm playing Tetris on my game.
Misty? Where are you? Yeah, you Misty.
I got it.
And you do have to understand that we had no air conditioning. Air conditioning hadn't been invented, except in the movies, I think.
And
they
TV.
had. And no TV until, well, when I was, I think, in high school, we got our first TV. But our air conditioning, I didn't want it. I didn't want Mother to put one in my room. You just had window units. And I told her, I do not want this in my room. And she said, you're going to have it in your room. Whether you turn it on or not, it's up to you. But that was certainly different. We, of course, had no cell phones or, you know, anything. That's remarkable. I do think that's a wonderful change in many ways. I'm trying to think of all the other things.
Why didn't you want AC?
I love the fan. We were
Okay.
used to fan and
Well,
attic
used to AC.
fans and all that. We did not, we had to have ice men come and bring ice to our refrigerators. We didn't have ice, you know. The milkman came and brought the big bottles of milk and all that. And what else was?
Well, there were glass milk bottles, and they had
Yeah,
a
they-
paper top on them. And if it froze,
true.
it would pop the top off the milk.
Really?
Yep.
Well,
So
they
you
were
had to get the
outside.
milk in before it froze. And it was pasteurized. It was not homogenized.
Wow.
Yep. So the cream was at the top.
You
Okay,
pour the
yeah.
cream off, and that was your cream for coffee.
Yep.
Then you had the milk. Bet I'm telling you things, Barbara, you didn't even know.
So tell me, like, since we're on our childhood, can you think of like your fondest childhood memory? Does anything come to mind?
Well, at 14's a childhood.
Aw.
We talking about something earlier?
Yeah, you don't.
Anything.
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 I'm trying to think, really. I mean, I had a wonderful family, a wonderful life. I was an only child, which I hated. Every night I'd pray, please God, send me a sister or brother. Never did. I guess he thought I was enough for this family.
He must have been listening to me because I didn't want a sister or
Yeah,
brother.
he liked
You
it.
didn't.
No, I wanted it all. I loved it just the way it was.
You liked all the attention.
Yeah,
I
that's
can
fine.
understand that.
As we know him today, he likes all the attention.
This year, we backed off. Something a little more realistic.
Maybe that's grass. No, it's not. There's a lot of people who are buying.
Come on, let's take a seat.
Cooking Easter dinner. And what are we having, Dan? What do we, it looks great. What is it? Tell the camera.
That is a
It looks wonderful.
The war came in when we were 7, Second World War. And so things changed dramatically. We were on rations. Everything was rations. Sugar,
get so many
rubber,
pair of shoes
butter,
a year.
everything. And we had a ration book. Mother did.
Yeah.
And she'd have to go take the ration book down in order to buy something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Groceries or anything. And you had little stamps and you used those. Now, my father was in the service. He was in the Navy, so we left Shreveport when I was in the first grade. I was halfway through the first grade, and we went to Providence, Rhode Island, and New York for 2 years and lived there. And I enjoyed that. It was fun. I'd never seen snow or anything like that. And I do remember that very well, even though I was so young, because it was so different.
I didn't know that you lived in Rhode Island.
Yeah, we were sent there first,
Really?
and then they changed us a couple of times, different places in New York.
There's a naval station there that he was, where he was located. And later on, I spent 2 summers there.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
That's why we're having the movie.
Uh-huh.
So you can know these fun facts about your
Yeah.
grandparents. I was going to see what else during that time. Then I came back, and I was so behind in school. I'd been in so many schools in those 2 years that they had to take me out of public school and put me in a private school. And that's when I was sent to Southfield School and stayed there till I went to Broadmoor Junior High with him.
And met Granddad.
And yes, I met him.
And I was from the other side of the bayou,
You
so
keep saying that.
I went to
that's
public
right.
school.
But it all ended well.
Yeah. And so
I got
went
you on the right side.
Did her parents like you? Like, because you were
It's a good question.
on the other side of the
Oh,
bayou?
yeah, they
You
love
keep saying the wrong side of the bayou.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was
That's
kind
just
of
a
funny.
joke
that,
between
Oh, yeah.
us.
you know, she came from the hills of South Highlands and so
The
forth.
hills.
And we're down in the old dirt river
Old
place.
That's not true.
And
but
it was actually Broadmoor, and I saw a sign the other day. It was founded in 1926. And it's all that area that, you know where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you first met Nanny's parents, though, did they immediately like you, or did it take some time?
Oh, do you remember that?
oh, they liked you immediately. He had the only thing my mother didn't kept asking me
Oh, this
about.
is funny.
His teeth had been knocked out, and so they were lined with gold. And it was lovely. Yeah.
I
They
didn't
were
know
all, his front teeth were lined with gold. And my mother one time, she said, Betty, why does Hines have gold all over his teeth? Because that was a different story in those days. So anyway, I was very, very happy when his mother had all that removed. It was time to get teeth in.
Yeah, the dentist said, if you want to play football, we got to put it in gold. And so that's why I did it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was funny.
And, the gold holds it in better.
Did
Yep.
you think he was cute?
For some reason, I did. I mean, I didn't like the gold teeth. And he wore Oxford shoes, and I finally talked him into getting loafers, because loafers were the thing to wear, just for girls and boys in those days. So thank goodness he got off his little tied up Oxford shoes.
And got him in some loafers.
Yeah, I got him, for the future there. We worked on that for a while. But
Meeting her parents. I don't remember that day.
Okay.
I don't
Do you?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, and vice versa with my parents.
So I met your parents when we had our first date, and they took us to a football game.
That was it?
Yeah, that was the Bird Fair Park game,
Our
big
first date.
rivalry game, and we were in the 9th grade, and your daddy and mother drove us out to the fairgrounds to the football game.
Okay, so
I remember with the dress I had on.
Really?
I really can.
What was it? Tell me about it.
Well, it was a gray dress, and I loved it, and I had a little band here. And then he brought me this beautiful corsage, the big mums and all
Oh, really?
that.
Was it a homecoming game or was it just a normal game?
It's the Thanksgiving
Oh, okay.
Day game. That was a big deal. So that was November when, I had just turned 14.
Wow. I can't
So
believe you remember
my
that.
father drove, and because we couldn't drive, of course, at that age.
We weren't
and,
old enough.
And so it was Thanksgiving, and so she asked me to pick her up at her grandmother's house, which was on Wilder Place. And so we get there, and
All
we're
the
in
family was having
we're in a
Thanksgiving.
'39 Chevy because they didn't make cars. You couldn't buy a car back then, so you
During the war.
just had to drive what was you had before the war.
Okay.
So it was a '39 Chevy shift thing, and so we get to the address, and I'm looking up and I'm seeing this mansion up on top of the hill. And I'm thinking, oh, backland. So I, with shaky feet, go up the hill, get to the front door, ring the bell, and the door opens, and the butler is there. And so
Al.
Al?
Al the butler. Come in, Miss Betty's expecting you.
Oh, now he is making a lot bigger
No, I'm
thing.
not.
We were at the dinner table, and my uncle was kidding me because he always irritated me because he kidded me all the time. And, oh, Dad, you stay here, and we're going to all meet him. I said, no, you're not. So I just walked right out, and off we went.
And that's when I met Spurs.
No, you didn't. I don't think you even came in the dining room.
No, I just got right in the front of the dining room, and you were trying to get loose, and Fully was kidding you.
Yeah, and so I was trying to get out of
Anyway,
there.
so we
That
made
was
it
fun.
back to the 39 Chevy and went to the game.
That was
Wow.
fun. That was fun.
Did you kiss her on the first date, Granddad?
No, his parents
Oh,
were there.
no.
You didn't go underneath the bleachers or anything?
No.
Sneaky kiss.
We were a good
No.
little chillin' there.
Do you remember when you first kissed?
Do you?
No,
I'm sure it was soon after.
I'm sure he was on the scooter.
Oh,
The scooter.
the scooter.
Oh, see, they all had scooters, and they would come up after school in their scooters and to your house, you know, and all that. And it was fun. I loved getting on that scooter. Of course, my mother said,
Yeah.
"Don't you ever get on the back of that scooter." Well, I couldn't wait to get on the back of that scooter. Love that.
If you ever want to look it up, it was a Cushman motor scooter.
We looked it up, remember?
did, yeah.
No, you and I looked it up
Yep.
and we found it online.
Cushman
We
motor
did.
scooter. And so we couldn't afford motor scooters. Things were pretty expensive back in those days. And of course, then we had the war on, and it was hard to get the things. So I started throwing a paper out
Yeah, you were young.
and to buy the scooter. And
You threw that all through high school.
yeah, so I started throwing the afternoon paper at 12. And then when I got old enough to throw the Times, which you had to get up at 4:30 in the morning to throw the morning paper. And so that was at 14 I started doing that.
And that was fun because one morning early, I wanted to go with him throw the paper out. And so he came. And at my house, I did not tell my parents, of course.
4:30.
Snuck out, took the scooter down away so it wouldn't start at the driveway. And that was so much fun. I went with him and throwing the papers.
Did you actually throw the paper yourself?
No, I
or
was
were you
sitting
just
on the
holding
back. No, he
Okay.
did that. But that was fun. And yeah, we had a lot of sneaky things we did, as I'm sure all of y'all have too.
Oh, I know. I know.
Hello, Mary, Heinz, Mom. Happy Easter. Happy Easter, Dad.
Happy Easter!
Where are y'all? Y'all are running so fast.
No!
Hi, Nanny. Nanny.
They're not that in their yard. You have to stop when there's 10.
Misty?
Here, Bob, put that down. Let me get a picture.
In your childhood, like what's the first biggest world event that happened in your childhood that you remember?
Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the
Yeah, I
war.
remember
Yeah.
that because that's where we went to war. And Mother and I, we have to ride the trains to New York. And when we get on a train, you're several days getting to New York in those days on a train. But the troops were getting on and off, and so we never knew if we were going to be booted off the train. You know, the troops would come in, we couldn't. Well, fortunately, it never happened to us, but I remember that. And it was, like I say, several days you're on a train.
We just lived the war. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
really did.
Yep, from 41 to 45. And I remember when they had VE Day, which is victory in Europe, and the other one was victory in Japan, which everything was over. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a big
it
deal.
was a big
Well,
deal.
it really was.
You remember that vividly?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty vividly? Yeah.
I do.
At Monterey.
I do, too.
Yep.
But we've lived through a lot of course, Vietnam and all those other horrible things too. We always had camp. We loved the water, and my family always had a camp, and his family belonged to a camp that we enjoyed all through high school too. In fact, we've always had camps too. We just love the water and water skiing, you, not me, and fishing.
You tried it.
That's really funny.
So my part of the lake, my grandfather belonged to this club, and the club was out on this point in Caddo Lake. And I grew up there. I mean, like 2 years, all the way up until we started going together. And it was great. It was a real working farm, in addition to a club where the fishermen went out in the morning. They had a boathouse and all that, or hunting. I did both out of there, and so that was one of the most fun things that I did.
I like
Really?
growing up, yeah.
my teen years. We had a lot of fun going
Yeah.
up there, and I had really a great life. I'm blessed. I
Me
really-
too.
Both of us have been.
Tell me about, so you've had camps all your life. I remember vividly Camp Bistineau.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you think of one of the funniest moments at Camp Bistineau, or a memory that stands out to you, or maybe something that happened that was funny?
actually, there was one before. We had a camp
Okay.
before that,
Uh-huh.
and it was down at Toledo Bend.
Okay.
That was the most fun that we ever had with our children.
So, go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry.
go ahead. Tell them you fished every day. We all fished.
Yeah.
Fished every day. And everybody, we had house trailers, one after another. They were in a big line. And Barbara was a little girl. She was probably, about second grade?
That's
maybe
what I'd
first,
say.
Second,
First or
something like
second
that.
grade.
And our son was in high school, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I guess he was. Anyway, there were children of all ages of all these families, and they had such a good time. They all played together, and Barbara learned to water skis. Heinz already do have. And then one year we gave your daddy a John boat, which is a little boat with a motor on it. And he thought he was the biggest thing in the world. He could go off by himself with his little John boat, and so he loved doing that. But we had a really great friends there, a great life. We go down there every weekend. It was really fun.
What couples were there?
Well, Lou and Bill Wilder,
Bobby and Dave.
Bobby and Dick Datloff, Jane Hutchinson and her husband. Trying to think. That was also
Ralph Balcom.
Ralph Balcom and his wife, and their parents, and it was just so much fun. We just did everything together.
That's what you do? That's how you pretty deep, huh?
That's way up.
Which one like it? And there was this one. How big is it?
We used to play
Out in the house.
what was it called?
Sardines, please don't go through
Oh, I want to hear about this.
You haven't played sardines?
It's like, so it's like hide and seek.
Yes.
And so I don't
Well,
remember about
the first person, okay, let me explain the situation here. We had like 7 trailer houses along the river. And so what in sardines, we picked one person to be the sardine. And that person then would go hide somewhere. And it might have been in a trailer house, might have been in a boat out back.
But he'd try to get with somebody else,
Yeah.
and then they sardined it
And then
together.
the idea is that the others are trying to find the sardine, and when they do, they get up next to the sardine, and they're quiet.
This
and
was
so-
after many cocktails.
Yes,
I
it
might
helped a
add.
And then the next person's looking for that one, and anyway, it's funny. So one time, one of them somebody hid in the boat, and we got the sardines going, and the boat went whoa.
No.
The boat was on a
It
trailer.
did?
It was funny. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Well, I'm just now like, when you started telling the story, in my mind, I pictured you playing sardines as kids, but like, you were grown adults
It was us.
playing sardines.
Oh yes,
was-
we had our children there when we were.
Oh, that's so funny.
I know.
And you tipped the boat over.
Yeah, this was
We weren't in.
big old ski boat.
It was up on the
Oh.
track,
Gosh.
but it was fun. We had a lot of fun up there.
Fundraising went on in the area to get
As well as all Sky 2 and 3 campers who are participating in the rodeo this morning. I need you to come to the area behind the announcer's stand.
We lived in California when Heinz was in the service, and I love that. I love being in California. And at that time, I just had your daddy, and he was just, well, he wasn't. When we went out there, he was 5 months old, and then when we got through, he was 3 years old.
And
So
through
that-
in California?
Mhm.
Okay.
We were back and forth. When he'd go overseas, then I would come back to Shreveport and live.
So back then they had the draft, and the draft meant you had to be in service for 8 years. And so we had a good friend who was in the Second World War, who was ended up being an admiral in the Navy, and he convinced me to go into a program that you would join the Naval Reserve when you were in high school, and also while you were in college. And then at the end of that time, you had 3 years instead of 8 to serve. And so I was serving that 3-year term. And I was on an aircraft carrier, the USS Midway, which is a
Japan.
museum now in San Diego.
We've been.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, those were good years and bad years. I enjoyed the Navy very much, but I miss my family back home.
He wasn't here when your father was born.
I was going to ask what the hardest part of the Navy
The-
was.
oh,
I know your answer.
oh, yes, you
I
do.
knew that was going to come out for some reason. But anyway, it's true. And I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in school, Navy school. And I'm thinking, Navy school in Albuquerque, New Mexico?
Makes sense.
Yeah. But anyway, Hans was born, and I was finished with school at the same time.
Graduating from college.
No, this
Yeah,
is
well,
Navy
right,
school.
but then-
Yep.
That was
And, yeah.
same summer.
Yeah, it was. Okay. So I asked the Navy, I said, just had a new baby, can I go home? And they said, no, we really need your services on the Midway. So I'm thinking, I'm not going to get to see my new baby. So I said, well, how many days do I have to get to the ship? And they said 5. So I drove home one night, and her dad met me halfway in Dallas, I guess, and drove me on in because I was wiped out for driving all night. And so I was there 2 days. 2 days.
2 or 3 maybe. I don't remember. Not very long, and he leaves me.
And that's all I got to see Hines. And I flew to California to make the 5-day deal. Flew from there to Tachikawa, Japan. That's where the ship was.
So I want to have you rewind with that story. Tell me about the drive from Albuquerque to Dallas when Papa picked you up.
It was.
Daddy drove. He took the plane to Dallas. He
Must have
flew
been.
there. Yeah, he had to be. And he
Yeah,
had
that's what it
driven
was.
from Albuquerque to Dallas overnight. I mean, I don't know how.
It's a 15-hour drive.
But I want to know about,
Yeah.
there's something specific I want
Yeah,
you to talk about.
I know what you're talking
What?
about. So we're in November, and it's cold. Not snowy or anything, but it's cold. And I'm on this. You didn't have any interstates back there, so I'm on this road to Amarillo, I guess, from Albuquerque. And it was cold out, but the road was hot. And so all these jackrabbits would get out from beside the road and jump on the
It's a
road.
bit warm.
And there was a whole bunch of them. There's no way I could, avoid them. So
I think I have heard this.
whap, 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 whap.
I don't know why we had to bring that stuff in. That wasn't a
was
big
one-
part of our
The
lives.
vegetarian is asking the
Elizabeth
question.
was-
Right.
But it's a good
Elizabeth was-
story. It's funny.
It's crazy.
So when you first met Dad as a baby, were you what was that experience like for you? You only had 2 days before you had to go back, right?
Well,
Go on.
Mom, Nanny called me with news, and she said, and he looks just like
Red Skelton.
Red Skelton.
Because he had red hair.
Well, Red Skelton was a comedian of the time,
Your
and
son
he was
our
ugly,
comedian.
and he had red hair. And I'm thinking, Red Skelton.
I know.
Yeah, so anyway, that was it.
Yeah, and he
Did he look like Red Skeleton to you?
No, he looked
Okay.
great.
Okay, good.
He was
did have
I was
red hair.
relieved that he looked so good.
Good.
He was a
Yeah.
cute little fat thing, he really was. And we went from a fat big baby, and then here was this little tiny little princess. She weighed so little, and she was so little bitty thing. And we didn't have car seats in those days. No car seats.
No car seats.
And so this, I don't think I've ever told you, I put a pillow between us. He was driving, little Hines, of course, leaning over, looking at this baby as we drove all the way to Shreveport. And the baby never opened her eyes. She never opened her eyes. Oh, that day, that night when I fed her, she never opened her eyes. And I was panicking. I thought, is this child have eyes? Anyway, she did wake up the next morning and lustily. I think they had given her a little tranquilizer.
No.
Yeah.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Yeah. They had another medicine, I guess you would call it. It was called a sugar tit.
A what?
A sugar tit.
Did you make that up, or is that
No,
what
no,
it's called?
that they didn't
And
call
what it
that.
was, they'd wrap up sugar in
I don't think that's what they did to Barbara.
in cheesecloth, dip it in the bourbon a little
Yeah,
bit.
that was way back in the old, way
Whoa.
before our day. We were
Yeah.
going really far back. But it's been a fun ride. It really has. I can't say enough about it. And now we're living it with our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. And how lucky is that? 3 generations. That's wonderful. Now, I'm not ready for it to end.
Well, it's not ending.
No, I know that.
No, that's right.
So,
That was here at Kent County. There's San Diego. San Diego? It's not on the
You have
post.
been the best ball. Oh, it's the best ball.
It's
Ever seen?
well, the base goes right up.
I don't know, to me it's a guttural thing, just Claire. You know, I don't know why. I hope you won't see it. I like Marilyn, Elizabeth,
Y'all,
Barbara,
recording.
Brandon,
the kind of
John.
strange names I like.
Instead of just those one syllable names?
Yeah, like Anne, Claire.
Now that your grandchildren have become parents, or will become parents one day,
In a hurry.
Yeah.
what advice do you have for your grandchildren?
Just love them to death. I mean, I do things so different. I did with my children. I raised them so different in so many ways. I did so many things different with Barbie than I did.
Do you think you perfected it?
Didn't maybe perfect it, but I made life easier for her, probably. You know, I made too big a thing. You had this book, Dr. Spock, and that was the main thing everybody had. And every time they burped roll, you were, Dr. Spock, burps, burps, you know. I didn't know a thing. My mother had died. I didn't have anybody to teach me anything about a baby. And so you had to learn a lot of new things.
From this book.
Oh, yes, Dr. Spock. If you had high fever, what do? You go in and give them a bath, you know, a cold bath and all this. I mean, because I'm in California, I don't know what I'm doing. But
Do you still have this book?
They survived. No, I don't.
You could get it.
Can we get
I
this
don't know if
book?
it's still
Sure.
in print. Yeah,
We
it'd
gotta
be
find
fun.
this book.
It would be fun to read
It would
and
be
see
hilarious.
the
Nobody ever,
difference.
nobody ever
Uh,
mentions it anymore, but you could find it, I'm sure.
No one's flipping through pages looking for an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wild.
It was.
Dr. Spock. Who was Dr. Spock? Do we
He
have
was a
any idea?
pediatrician,
Okay.
He was just like
and he did, and he
a
hit.
celebrity almost.
Well,
kinda.
yeah, in a way. I don't
figurehead.
think I ever saw a picture of him, but he covered every ailment a child could have, when they should walk or talk. I mean, the whole
Yeah.
thing of raising one, and I sure depended on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did your friends depend on that too? Was it a normal thing to depend on?
Yeah, everybody kind of went with Dr. Spock. Yeah, what he did.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, gosh, I wish I had saved it. It'd be funny. You
found it?
Can you get it? Can
Can
get
we
it?
order it? We should
Oh,
order
get
this
it. I'd
book.
love to
Yeah,
see the
that would be-
difference.
Yeah, I would love
that'd be
one book.
great.
Yeah, I know it.
Is there anything that like you referenced to from that book, looking back, where you were like, "Ooh, I probably shouldn't have done that"?
Oh, probably pages and pages.
Really? Okay, we have
I
to get
mean,
this book.
imagine, well, your daddy had high fever one time, and I mean, I was calling the pediatrician constantly. His fever was 105, and then finally he went out on me, and he said, "Well, bring him in." I said, "The child is." Then he was having spasms, you know. Oh, it was horrible, and they put that baby in the hospital. They did a spinal on him. And it was a sort of I can't remember the name of it. Do you remember, Barbara? And then they could run this high fever, then they break out in a rash. One measles.
Is it the fifth disease?
Yeah, something like that. And they put him in a hospital room. Parents couldn't stay. Tied his little leg to the bed so he couldn't get out. And I could only come visit him certain times of the day. Oh, it was horrible.
It was scary.
I mean, when I got him out, he was after 3 or 4 days. His little legs were so weak. Oh, it was terrible. It was absolutely horrible. But
Hi, Granddad.
You can take a few hits. You know.
We're trying to get the dinner going. Hi.
So we need to get back to
yes,
Nanny's mother's death.
Yes.
We got married when we were 20 at St. Bart's. And she got sick a year
our
later.
first anniversary.
Yeah.
That was our first anniversary.
And she died at 46.
9 months, yeah, 46.
So that was a real
That
dark
was
part.
really one of the hardest things I went through. And let's see what
What
else.
did she die of?
Cancer.
Stomach cancer.
Everything. It was just
Yeah.
And it had spread.
full of
bad.
it everywhere. Which was strange because she'd never been sick in her life. Daddy was the one that was always sick.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of a
Hypochondria.
hypochondriac.
As they call it, health anxiety these days.
Well,
The politically correct terminology.
I didn't know
we
that.
have a lot of those in the family.
We do. We have a new one too.
Yeah, right. Oh, Lordy.
So your mother was 46.
Mm-hmm.
And how old was Papa?
46.
No, when he passed, sorry.
Oh, when he was 78.
78.
Mm-hmm.
What year was that roughly? It had to have been in
It was
early
80.
90?
Was it 80? 1990?
I was a baby, so
Yeah.
87, 88.
I remember Papa.
That's when I quit smoking.
Like two, because
We were that little.
You
Yeah,
remember
you
him?
were.
I do remember Papa.
Yeah.
I remember coloring him a picture, and he was in bed, and I remember walking to the right side of his bed
Yep.
and handing him the picture that I had colored for
Right.
him. So
Yep.
that's what I remember about
Yep.
him.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Itty
little
bitty.
people.
Itty
But,
bitty.
Mom, relaxing on the baby. What else did we do?
Well, meantime, I'd gone through like 5 jobs.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you did up until you retired. I mean, you know,
yeah.
one
So-
time.
After the Navy, I went to work for a pipeline company. I had a degree in petroleum engineering, and left there and went to work for IBM in computers. Did that for 15 years. Then I went to work for a bank, and I was with the bank for 8 years. Somebody said, "How'd you can't keep a job?" And I guess maybe it's true, but
No.
We're like the
no,
job's
no.
gonna keep
Yeah,
you.
the job's
Yeah.
gonna keep you.
and then from the bank, your father and I had a small business, it's a computer business. So it kept Nanny busy, you know, also. I mean, she was a part of this and having to go along with it and approve it. She moved to New Orleans for me.
4 of us moved to New Orleans.
I feel a grudge is still
and
being
very
held.
happy coming home a year later.
After a year, I went in and everybody was there. I said, "Oh, okay, everybody have a seat." What is the thing that you most want to do? And y'all came up with something that was strange. And I said, "How about going back to Shreveport?"
Is that what it was?
wanted to go to Hawaii.
That's what it was.
That is.
Hawaii? Is that what it was? Yep. That's what we wanted to go to Hawaii. I said, "Well, how about Shreveport?" Oh, that's even better.
Even better.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you want to get out of there too?
Oh, yeah.
I was so little.
Yeah, okay. I remember Dad, he felt the same way.
That was junior high.
That was a hard
And
time.
that's- those are the fun
hard.
years, yeah.
And he grew, was it 5 inches in
I thought it
that
was
year?
9 or something
It
wild.
was something wild. I mean, we left, he was a little boy. We came back, he was tall as he is now. I don't know what it was it did, but they rode the school bus every day. So that was a new experience in our life. And I
Yeah,
Poor-
because
you poor thing.
you, Nanny, so,
Yeah.
The wrong bus.
oh.
she did one time. Thank God I didn't know that. But anyway,
So-
we were glad to get home.
If we're on the topic of school transportation, I have a question for you, Nanny. Because you were driven to school by a chauffeur.
No, I was
You
not.
were not?
No, I was in a carpool.
Okay,
But
I thought you had a
on
chauffeur.
rainy days when I couldn't, I also could walk home. But
Okay.
no,
That's a
my
long
grandmother, the chauffeur would pick me up if my mother was playing cards, which I understand that that's most important to pick children up sometimes. But Oh, I'd get on the floor so nobody would see me. I was so embarrassed.
By your chauffeur?
Big black Cadillac coming up to the school, and you're having to get out
Broadmoor.
with the chauffeur there.
There, right there in Broadmoor.
No, it wasn't Broadmoor, Hines. This was Southfield. No, I was in carpool at Broadmoor.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
I didn't realize that you were embarrassed by that.
Oh, terribly.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was...
You weren't proud, or you didn't have any proud moments or anything like that? You were embarrassed that a big black Cadillac
Yeah, I
picked you
didn't
up?
want people to think that, you know.
Well, good for you.
It wasn't
Oh,
picking
yeah.
up, it was letting out at school.
No, he didn't let me out.
That was the big deal.
No, Mother, I mean, I was ever taken to school by a chauffeur.
Oh.
But I was picked up
Oh.
with it. And another funny thing, I don't know why I remember this, it was funny to me, but when my grandmothers, well, they were totally opposite type people, but anyway, when they would go to the grocery store, they'd say going to the market. And they would put their gloves on. They had morning dresses and afternoon dresses. And then my aunt lived across the street from her mother, my grandmother Allison. And they would go every day to the market with those, and my aunt too, with gloves on in their little pocketbooks. And it was so funny to me, especially looking back. I mean, the way people dress now,
Yeah.
they're formal people. I mean, I just can't get over it. Like my daddy wore a hat every day. He had a coat and tie and all that. Then he'd have his little hat he'd put on and off he'd go. It was very formal living, you know.
Do you wish people still dressed like that?
No,
Okay.
You said yes or no?
no,
Yeah.
no.
So,
Too much effort.
I wouldn't want gloves on to go to the grocery store. God, man.
so another interesting thing is that when she says go to market, she's talking about a market. We had a
Yeah.
meat market, we
Yeah.
had a bakery, and we had all of these different things. You wanted to go
But you did have
anywhere
big
you went, you
chain.
had to go to a different market.
Well,
And then supermarket came in and just changed everything. 'Cause
and all your dairy came.
wait a minute, you mean you mean to
About
tell me we're
milk.
getting milk and the meat, where you get your meat, and where you get,
It
that was
it
a big
just
deal.
All different. It was just.
Do you miss that? Like, do you?
Oh, the best was the vegetable man. He would come up at Mother's driveway, and he had a big old truck, and he had a big bell, and he'd start ringing the bell, and the cook would go out and pick the vegetables
Your
from
cook,
yeah,
correct?
My parents' cook. Right.
Just clarifying.
Yeah, no,
okay.
it wasn't my cook.
I know, but yes.
But anyway, she would go out and pick, I think he came every other day or something like that, and all these fresh vegetables. Then she'd go in and cook them. And, you know, and it was...
His name
it
was
so-
Sam.
Sam the
Sam
cook.
Tumanella.
Yep.
And he'd give me a banana, and I love that.
Is that where your love for bananas
They
came
did.
from?
I
Okay, thank
I
you,
know.
Sam the cook.
That's true, that's true. That was funny. Doctors in those days always came to your house when you were sick. They would make house calls on their way home in the afternoon. So that I do miss.
Okay.
They would come
That
by
was
and
great.
check you out.
It just seems a lot more convenient too, I'm sure.
Well, it was sure easier on the families,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, it was a personal thing, personal.
That's true. That's
Yeah, it really was. He knew you and everything about you.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody volunteered to come and help out.
Getting back to parents, and I want to talk about your parents too.
Okay.
So your mother died at a young age. What are some of your fondest memories?
Of my mother?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, everything. She was wonderful. I took a lot of psychology classes, and we'd go to prisons and everything, so she'd go with me. She was a fun mother. She did things together. We did needlepoint together. We painted the paint by number things together for our first apartment. But she was a avid bridge player, as I would like to say I am too.
You are.
She loved cards. Both my parents loved cards, and they would get together at night with other couples and play canasta and different things. But she was a lot of fun. She was very laid back. I don't ever remember my mother getting really mad. I really don't. Now, my daddy was a whole different story.
He had a temper?
Oh, heavens, yes. And I'd had one too, so we kind of clashed a lot growing up. But then his mother was very laid back, but your daddy didn't have a temper. So you didn't really have a temper at all like I did with Daddy.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I got to say that her mother was also my mother.
Yeah, I know she's all upset.
No.
He loved my mother. He really did. Everybody did. Kay still talks about how much she loved my mother.
Really?
Yeah, she was just really special. She was very loving and never got mad and all that, just like I am to my daughter. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, she as much raised me as my mother did.
That was my
then.
question
Yeah.
for you. Tell me more.
Yep.
Tell me about that.
Well, I mean,
who's at my house all the time?
I was there all the time. So, and one unusual thing is they wanted me to call them Buddy and Barbara. And back then, we were taught Mr. and Mrs. and all that sort of thing.
But on my side of the Bible, we call all of our parents' friends by their first names.
Oh, interesting.
Always,
So, it took me a long time to be able to do that.
And get comfortable
I guess
enough.
you're right. I forgot that.
Yeah, we all, Kay and Mac, and I mean,
Yeah.
all the ones. And that was good.
What are some of your fondest memories then of Nanny's parents? Does anything stand out to you?
Well, I mean, it was the whole experience. It was like being in another family.
Mm-hmm.
It was that good. And they were both very good to me, very fair, and I just really enjoyed being with them.
Well, and my mother didn't cook. They had a cook. His mama was a wonderful cook. So I loved going over to his house to eat dinner because in season, my daddy had an ulcer, so we had no onions, no bell pepper, none of the things. So all of our food was very bland. So I'd go over there, and I'd never had spaghetti in a house, eating dinner. Oh my Lord, I thought I died and gone to heaven.
Is that where your love for making spaghetti at home came from then?
Yeah, it was over made at my house.
Wow.
No, no, it was.
It was my mama.
Yeah, your
I've
mama.
been waiting for that comment for the last hour and 10 minutes. What are some of the craziest things you ever ate at Granddad's house that his mother cooked?
Tongue.
Tell me about it.
Well, it looked like a little roast. And I just thought it was the tenderest thing, you could almost cut it with a fork. And I said, this is even best. What was just so tender? And he says, that is our tongue. And I thought his mother would kill him. And of course, that was the end of me eating the roast. I could not. I mean, they ate brains and eggs and things. I didn't. But they ate strange things.
They
too.
sure did.
You ate the whole animal, basically, right?
That's what he
Nothing
said.
went to waste.
Wasn't much missing. Dad loved Pickle's pig feet.
Oh,
So, Anyway,
I
getting
had
back
that
to the
one
tongue
time,
thing, mother cooked the thing back in the kitchen because you didn't want to see it. So they boil the tongue and then they skin it.
You peel it.
That
I
gets
was
rid
going to ask
of
that question.
all the taste
But
buds.
your
If the taste
brother,
buds were present.
but
Yeah.
right then,
So
his brother, Brandon, when they were out of school and they would come over, he and some of his friends, there were about 6 of these young men, they were starting their little business, and they would come over Monday night. I don't know how it started or whatever. And we try to have things, we discuss it with them, what we'll have the next Monday. So he did tongue one time. They were all excited about coming to eat tongue.
So you told them ahead of time
I
that you were
did.
going to make
I
tongue.
said, okay,
Yeah.
we'll cook a tongue. I didn't eat it, but they all did. And they ate it and really liked it.
But you didn't eat it.
No,
You didn't have it.
no.
I had some a couple of weeks ago up at
Lewis's,
Biscotti's.
where we ate. Yeah,
Wait,
lunch.
they serve tongue. There's like tongue on a menu somewhere.
Yeah, and when he
Yeah.
gets it, he has tongue sandwiches. He gets so excited when they have it. He loves to go eat tongue
Nostalgic.
sandwiches.
It's like that Lunchables I ate last night.
Oh,
Yeah,
Lord.
that was
It looked
nostalgic
disgusting
too.
to them.
Yeah.
Like, how can you eat that?
What about brain and eggs?
Well, that we did have those, but I didn't like them.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I
Okay.
didn't like brains and eggs. That kind of went over the top.
That was your lines at brains. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that was too much for him, but yeah, she was a really good cook. She really was. She taught me to season things, you know, and all. So it was fun to have two different type of households. You know,
to learn
there were
from.
good things about both of them.
Yeah,
Things-
that's true.
Say, like my family ate at 6 o'clock every night because my cook poor thing, had been there since 6 that morning, and she had to walk all the way down the trolley, which was about 2 blocks away. And so we ate early so she could catch the trolley and go home. And I couldn't understand it because his mother cooked. So she had her cocktails first, and so they didn't eat till about 7. So that meant I had from 6 to 7 wait for going out on a date. And I really didn't like that. The movie, this is another funny thing. The only thing we had to do was ride the trolley downtown and go to the movie until we could drive. But we'd go to the movie just whenever the trolley got us down there, we'd go in the movie. You might be halfway through the movie, and that's the way we did. Watch the last, then we watch the first. Can you imagine? And we talk about that now. We never started at a first of a movie.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, so
That's.
you knew
Crazy.
the
I
end.
know.
When it came around, you knew the end.
But you didn't know the beginning.
No,
you
that's
haven't seen the
right.
beginning of the
was
movie.
That's right.
I've never heard
And
that.
that's the way we all did it.
Yep.
And that was normal. You didn't
Oh,
think
yeah.
twice about it.
And they had double features, so you had 2 movies. You
That
saw
was on
2.
Saturdays.
On Saturday.
Afternoon.
And then in the middle of those 2, they had the report on video on the war.
Newsreel. It was called
Newsreel. And it was all about the war and how we did because, you couldn't see anything. Didn't have any TV. So that's all you had.
Wow.
Okay, I got that on video, Dad, in case something happens to you mysteriously.
Oh, and in college we had a really good time. We were married, and we lived in this complex of apartments with all the other married couples.
Yeah.
And that was a whole lot of fun time, because we're all in the same boat. Nobody had any money.
So there
We
was
never did anything.
there was like separate housing for married
was-
couples on campus.
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
These were outside.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
just a
Apartments.
big area of apartments.
Yep.
And ours was a little 2-story one. It was just adorable. I loved it. We had our 2 little bedrooms upstairs. We had a little cot in one room, and Daddy, of course, wasn't married at the time, so he would come and spend the weekend with us.
And we really
I mean,
liked
we'd
that
go to
because he'd take us.
Holiday Inn when he'd take us to dinner.
Yeah,
there.
that's
we
it.
would?
I was gonna say that we love to have them come because they take us out to eat.
I bet.
Yeah.
Him.
Otherwise, we never went.
I know it. That was fun.
That's
Yeah, we didn't go anywhere. We didn't have money to do anything. And I asked Dad not long ago, I said, what did we eat? I didn't know how to cook. And I can't
Do you remember what it was
I can
that you
fried chicken. I guess we had fried chicken.
And fried chicken's not an easy thing to do, I would imagine.
well,
We,
that's one thing I learned from Essie.
Okay,
was
so
how
you learned that
fried
from Essie.
chicken.
Yeah, we did chop suey that was
I
frozen.
just can't remember them.
You don't remember
And we
that?
had frozen shrimp that were breaded with
Yeah.
fried.
Right.
That's all I remember. I never did a vegetable. I don't think. I didn't know anything about vegetables.
So,
It's funny.
on the topic of food, and I want to talk about your parents, too, Granddad. Is there a recipe of your mother's that you want to keep in the family or anything?
Oh, she's got a whole bunch of them.
Is there like one particular one that stands out that is like your all-time favorite
Which
from your
one?
mom?
Well, spaghetti and
Yep.
shrimp Creole.
Yep.
Okay.
We love both
Yep.
of those of hers. I mean, she cooked a roast really good, and she taught me also when we were in the Navy and she came and visited us in California. I made her teach me how to make dressing, cornbread dressing, you know, and bake a little turkey, because we were out there by ourselves one Thanksgiving, and I told him to invite this friend of his who was in the Navy, and I mean, it took me all day long to get it together. I mean, we thought we'd eat at noon. I think we ate at 5 o'clock or something. But I learned, you know, how to do that. And
So here's why. I decided we have gimlets that night.
What are gimlets?
oh, that was a whole nother time.
Okay.
Well, let's hear about
Anyways,
it.
Paul.
I want to hear about it.
Yeah.
So the gimlet is
A cocktail.
it's a cocktail, and it consists of
Rose, what was it, rose?
Yeah,
Lime rose?
rose lime juice
Yeah.
and gin. And so I started whipping this thing, getting all ready, and I'm thinking, man, this is sour. It doesn't taste like a real gimlet. And so I said, I need to add some sugar to this. So I added a little sugar to it, tried it again. Still not right. And then I put a little more in there. But anyway, by the time the guy got there, I was slockered.
Oh no, really? Oh my god. How many of those things do you think you had?
I don't know.
He'd been sipping right along all afternoon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Granddad. That's so funny.
Donnie. He's having a good time. Which is direction?
Tell me about your mom. What do you call her? What do you say when you're referencing to your mom?
Oh yeah,
Tell-
my
yeah,
mom.
tell
Yep.
me, so tell me
Okay,
about her.
she was born in Shreveport. Went to Central High School, which was the only high school in town, and then she went to
Sweetbriar College.
Sweetbriar College. In those days, most of the women went off to these ladies' schools around. And I don't even know where Sweetbriar is. Probably Virginia.
Right.
Anyway, grew up there and spent some time in Shreveport. And then, for some reason, I've never been able to figure it out. My grandfather decided to move to Florida, and so he took the whole family. They moved to Florida. They lived in Jacksonville for a time, and then mother met my father in Florida. I don't know where exactly, but my father he was a professional baseball player.
Tampa Smokers.
Yep, Tampa Smokers. And he met my mother's, I don't know where, but anyway, because they got married in Jacksonville, but they lived in Tampa after that. And then they moved from Tampa to Spartanburg, which is where I came along. And I came along real late in life. I was like,
They'd been married like 16 years.
yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a miracle he came.
it really was.
How old were your parents when they had you?
She was late 30s. And he
Yeah,
was
like
in
she was
his
39, he was 38. No, he
No.
was a little older, wasn't
Yeah, I think he
Yeah.
was probably early.
Anyway, So then that gets us up to the moving to Shreveport. Oh, by the way, my grandfather moved back to Shreveport in that interim period. And Dad, interestingly enough, you didn't ask, but I'll tell you, he grew up in Millersville, Georgia. And he was born and raised there. And he went to Wofford College, a little college in Georgia.
And what was his name?
Heinz Frederick Vaughn.
Right.
Heinz. Vaughn.
Frederick.
And everybody called him Heine.
Heine. I like
Yeah,
it.
when he was on the Smokers, they said, "Okay, Heine, go on." He played first base. Anyway, so I've been doing some research recently and find that he left Wofford College, probably a sophomore, joined the Navy, and
First World War.
First World War. And it was kind of the end of the First World War, and he became a naval aviator, and he flew these old biplanes, and they were float planes, and he went to Pensacola flight school and got his wings. I still have his wings.
Do you?
Yeah.
Cool.
And then I'm guessing he that's when he went on with the Smokers.
Okay. Do you remember any particular stories that he told you about playing for the Tampa Smokers?
No, I do not.
Really?
No, I don't remember any part of that. That's why I'm having to do all this research.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's so many things we wish we had asked our parents.
Oh, yeah, like
Tell us
this.
stories, about how they met or how this, that, the other.
You don't know how your parents met, or
No,
well,
I
don't.
yours met in Florida, but you don't
Mine
know.
went to high school together in Bird High School, and she dated a lot of men. I found her diary, which I loved and read it, and it was after she came back from. She only went to college 2 years, and just like me and my daddy, and anyway. She would say, "Well, today I'm going out with so-and-so, and Buddy and I have a date." I mean, so they evidently dated around and all, and then they married in 35, and I was born in 36.
Okay. How old were your parents when they passed?
Dad was 68. My
Was
mother
he
was
that young?
82. Mm-hmm.
I knew your mother's age.
Remember, I came back
68.
I was at IBM in school, and had to come back.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't realize he
So,
was that.
yeah, he had throat cancer.
Throat cancer.
No, it was horrible.
His mother just died of old age.
Really? There
Yeah.
wasn't any.
And I guess she was 82.
I don't
I think it
know.
was.
My
That's a long
grandmother.
Of course, that's pretty old back
72.
then.
I mean, that's a long life.
That's very old for them. My grandmother died at 72, and Daddy was 78, and I thought Daddy was old.
Yeah.
Those days.
Yeah.
And now here we are, outliving anyone we ever knew.
86.
Thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your mother lived a long. I didn't realize she was that old.
Mm-hmm.
She was in a nursing home.
At the end.
That's all they had. Is what they called them then.
Right.
Yeah.
Did Granddad's parents accept you right away?
Yeah, she was very sweet to me. Yes, she and I got along great. I really loved her, and I loved him too. He was a really sweet guy. He gave me a bottle of perfume every Christmas after we married. I just loved that. He went and bought that for me.
Did he pick perfume out well? Like,
Yeah,
did he do a good
I
job?
loved him. Yeah, he was a quiet man. He didn't talk a lot. He has a mustache. He smoked a cigar.
Do you think Granddad is more like his mom or
mother.
his dad?
No, mother.
How so?
Laid back
Okay.
and friendly to everybody. His daddy was more like me, could well, like I used to be.
Which is what?
Oh, which was more reserved.
Okay.
I was shy.
Okay.
I mean, no one can believe now that.
I can't believe.
I know it.
that you were
they
ever
say
shy.
you couldn't be. My friends that I've just been friends with through Bridge, you cannot tell me you were ever shy. I said, you have no idea what I would go through having
She
to go
was
to.
she was the most shy person. in the
Oh,
world.
I was,
Real, and you remember that too,
Oh yeah,
vividly?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't like to be with crowds of people.
Were you shy around Granddad at all when you first started dating?
No, not really. He was really nice to me. He was sweet. He was like an old grandfather because he white-headed, you know.
Oh,
well,
you're
he
talking
was,
about my father.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, not
yeah.
you.
Oh,
No,
Yeah.
no.
So,
Yeah.
so I was probably more like her mother than mine. Would you say that?
Well, your mother, well, you're more, well, I think you're a lot like both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they were both like social events and
Yeah.
things like that. And they didn't get mad easy.
Mm-mm.
They didn't.
Mm-mm.
They
Barbara and
loved-
I got along really well.
Yeah, she loved Hutton. She really did. And he loved her. So that was good.
That's right.
You know, and I'd get annoyed with his mother because, you know, a daughter-in-law and a mother-in-law just isn't a good match.
They can butt heads.
Yeah, they can. I think they're both trying to, that's their boy.
Yeah, and you're coming in
The only one.
the only one,
Yeah.
which makes it even
you
more.
know, and if they said, mother cooked this better, and they did. Type
I
that.
learned not to do that.
Well, you
I
should
bet you did. I bet you learned that quick.
Yeah.
Granddad, how long were you in the Navy for?
Overall, 8 years. I was in there 5 years in the reserves and 3 years on the carrier.
So I wanted to ask you, I guess, a two-sided question. What the first part of your career looked like, but also to what a typical day looked like for you on the aircraft, on the carrier.
Yeah. So we'd get up. We had there were a lot of Filipinos on there, and they were enlisted people, and so one of those guys would come by and wake us up in the morning. It was probably 7 o'clock, and we'd get up and get ready to go. I was in what they call the W division, and we were the caretakers of the atomic bombs on the carrier. And there were 2 different locations that we kept the bombs, and I was in charge of the rear one. So I'd get my group together and we'd muster and all, and then go to regular work, mainly taking care of bombs. You know, we go in and do whatever's necessary. And then we'd have lunch, more in the afternoon. And then I was an officer of the deck, and that's a fairly big deal.
Can you explain that, what
Yeah.
that means?
So the officer of the deck is in charge of the whole aircraft carrier when the captain's not on the bridge. So that's all night.
Mm-hmm.
So we had 4-hour watches, and so, you know, the guy would come wake me up at 11:30, and I'd have to go up for my 4-hour watch up there, and we did that like every other week. So we did that, and that was mainly it.
What was nice though was when they were in port, like when we were in California.
Yeah.
I could go have dinner with him any night that, you know, he was on watch. I had to stay on the ship overnight. And so I get a sitter for Heinz, and I'd go drive out there and have dinner with him.
I didn't know that you could do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had 2 types of bombs on the Midway, and there were 2 completely different compositions. One was uranium on uranium, and the other one was a hydrogen bomb. So we had both on the ship, and depending on which kind of bomb it was, depending on how much inspection we did with them. So a little boy, a big man, we would take all the components apart, and we're looking at uranium, put the two together, that's it. So we had to keep those completely separate from each other. And then uranium itself, that's been formed like that, it has something that's called spalling. So little pieces pop off of the castings. And so we had to get all that cleaned up. And then the next one, put that one aside and get the next one and do the same thing. So we did that. That was one of the things that our crew did. And then the other side was the whole thing's encased in a ball, if you would, which has some deuterium and this tritium in the center of it. So it implodes, and so taking care of it was just a matter of going over and cranking stuff, and you didn't open that up. So we had both of those types on the ship, and they had their own cradles in an air-conditioned spot. And we liked that because we didn't have any air conditioning on the ship. So we'd go down and sack out in the bomb bays. And so anyway, we used to take these bombs out of the cradles to take them to get them, make sure that everything's okay, test them out. And the hoists were air powered. Didn't want any electricity down there. So everything was air powered. And the hoists were designed where you could not drop one of these bombs off of it. But
Big butt.
this morning, this bomb, which is about 10 feet long, maybe that big around, we were moving it from one place to the other, and the thing fell off the hoist and landed on the deck. Now we're talking about, it was a hydrogen bomb. 1 million tons of TNT. And everybody went,
You're on TV.
And everything was okay. So we said, oh God. So we had to chuck it because the ship's rolling, and now the bomb's rolling. No. Anyway, make a long story short, that, of course, had to have a report into headquarters, and that was a big deal. And so that was the deal with the.
So was anyone at fault for that, or was it just a fluke accident?
They actually did. Of course, they did a big investigation on it, and they found that there was a way that horse could do that, and so that got us off the hook.
So I was curious if there were any repercussions or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Of course, the next time we had a chance, we got it off the ship.
Of course you did. So tell me again, what was your titles in the Navy?
Okay. I was a Lieutenant JG in the W Division. Okay. I was also the officer of deck, underway and in port.
Okay. Another Navy question. Do you have a most proud moment in the Navy?
I'm sorry, what?
What is your proudest moment in the Navy?
Proudest? I guess making officer of deck.
Yeah, it's a big accomplishment.
Pretty big deal.
Well, weren't most of you JGs, weren't y'all? I mean, like the boys we knew, Bill Zebedee, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And what's the other one's name?
Good job, Marilyn.
I guess we were in grade school or junior high.
Oh, no, we were in grade school. It was
Grade
we were
school,
young.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this polio came by, and the people didn't know what caused it.
Like we were about 10 years old.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, friends were, they were friends. Friends were being paralyzed, neck down, and of course some of them died. And so, as always, you're looking for the cure or the preventative. So our parents wouldn't let us go out in the afternoon to play or anything like that. They made us stay home. But I do remember having some friends, one in particular, that they had to put in what's called an iron lung. The iron lung was this big metal cylinder, and it did the breathing, because polio also affected breathing, as well as the paralysis. Well, I guess it was part of the thing. And so I remember going up to see her at the old Confederate Memorial Hospital, and the only thing you could see is her head sticking out of this machine. The rest of it's in that machine. And finally, two doctors, was Falk one of them?
No, salt?
Salk was one, and then there was another one. And like Nanny says, we had to stay inside, didn't we?
I don't remember staying inside, but my mother and
moved
daddy.
you, right? Didn't y'all move for a while because of it?
We went to Minnesota. Elsie and Mace and their children and mother, daddy, and me. And we stayed. It was fabulous, of course, as children. We loved it. We were up there in these cabins in the woods, and we had more fun up there. But one of my mother and daddy's best friends' daughter got it. And she, I remember daddy came home and said that he was going to drive her parents had divorced, and so going to drive she and their friend, the mother, to the hospital somewhere. Forgotten where it was. Was it in Galveston or Houston? Someplace they were taking children that had come down with polio, and he drove them down there. And I gave her a little stuffed animal of mine. And she and I are still friends, really good friends. She was a couple of years older than me. But that's Tonette Sloan.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, Tonette. And I remember when Daddy came home and said, I'm going to take her. And I was all upset because we could die.
Yeah, that's scary.
But we were young. But it was, then they took us to the doctor, and I never had anything in my vein before. And whatever this vaccine was, they put in your vein. That was horrible to me as a child,
Yeah.
But it was a scary, scary thing. And the Jacobs family had their daughter, one of their daughters, in an iron lung. And it came back on them as older people, and it did her, and she started having breathing problems again. She'd been in an iron lung for a long time before. She had 6, 7 children, meantime. But it came back on, and she died from complications of polio, even after all those years.
Is that the scarier disease that you had to live through?
Yes.
Not that you had it, but like in comparison to COVID or...
No, that was the scariest I remember. We had TB, which some of friends, older ones, had that, and we had a sanitarium here in Shreveport for that. What was it called? The Pines?
Pines Sanitarium.
Yeah, and one of my daddy's best friends was in there.
Yep.
And
but this does bring up another a related subject, and that is that all these diseases were out there, mumps and measles and whooping cough and all these things. There were no vaccines for them.
They weren't.
So what would happen is if somebody got one of my friends got the measles down. Mother said, go down there and see so and so.
Go play with Johnny.
Get that over with, you know. And everybody, and people today are saying, what? That's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what they did, and so you got them all. You just got them all.
Oh yeah, you got
Except one time, one of my friends had the chicken pox, and I went down to see him and all, and I thought I had the chicken pox, but I never did have any symptoms or anything. Just seemed to have it, but I got the shingles.
You had it though because your son had it.
Yep.
Remember, we were in California, and you were around him, so I think you probably had a very light case.
That's what happened.
Yeah, it had to be, but he had the worst shingles all in his head.
I didn't know that.
And
Oh,
you know,
that's
it could
bad.
blind you, and it
Yeah.
came down his forehead. It was horrible. It's one of the worst
It was awful.
cases I'd see.
Go get the shot if you haven't
Wow.
gotten the shot.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
I did
that.
get the shingle. Oh, please get
The
that shot.
shingles. So let's go back to when you tried to get married for the first
I did not
time.
want to.
Okay, you're in charge.
Well, we had a couple in high school. They had gone to steady together, and I'd hate to be telling this, but anyway, they got married, and they told us where in Texarkana, and told us how to do it. And we bought 2 little rings. We were 16 years old, and they said, you get a blood test, and then you go to the Justice of Peace, and he will marry you. So I spent the night with Kay. She knew it. And so I dressed up, and Hines picked me up that morning early, and we drove to Texarkana. So we get there. I don't remember a lot of the details, but we went to the Justice of Peace, and he said, well, you have to go get a blood test. And he said, and I will be here till 11 o'clock or something like that, and I'm going fishing. So we went, and I was scared to death to have my vein. Those days I didn't vein it very well. Anyway, we had blood tests, and luckily for us, we went back, and he had gone fishing. So we were going to come back the next week. Well, I had told Kay and Betty Full those were the main 2 I remember. And so a few nights later, my daddy comes tromping in my room, and did you try to get married? No, I didn't. And he said, you did not. I've got a telephone call that just came in that said that you and Hines went to try to get married. No, I didn't. I mean, I wasn't going to say anything. So with that, he's leaving to go. I did not know. He never told me which friend told on us. So Mother is in her room. Are you pregnant? 16 years old. I said, no, I'm not. When Daddy comes back, I phoned Hines to come back.
No, they'd come over and get me.
No, they ain't come get you.
Yep, they said, you get over here right now.
Right now, but we ain't come get you. I guarantee I was stuck with those people.
Right, and so I go over there,
Yes.
and they sit us down on those front steps. I never will forget it. And they said, did you try to get married? Well, I think by then you already told them yes.
I don't think I had.
Anyway, make a long story short, it was a very long night.
Oh, it was hard.
You don't need to make a long story short. Tell us, did something happen after you said, yes, we tried to get married? What was their reaction to you?
The next question is, are you pregnant?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then after that, they go, and and then after that, we calmed down. And of course, finally found out who told.
Which
years
was?
later,
It happened, Kay.
Betty Full them.
What?
It was.
So, did you ever
I
forgive
never knew
her?
it till she told me.
Did you? How long did it take for you to forgive her?
Years. And she finally told me, and I said, well, I want to thank you because you saved me.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll tell you, propane is just
Mommy! Hey, Mommy! There's Nanny
We
putting the
took a
sign up.
picture to get framed this morning.
Hi.
Good.
What
We're
kind of
home
frame
with
did you
new
pick?
baby. They're making a yellow. We came up with the yellow because we like the white. Oh, it'd been horrible. We wouldn't
So
have
who
made it. We
instigated
were
it?
children.
Who-
They wouldn't have let us get
Who
married.
instigated it?
I don't know. We'd been talking about it. Probably me. I don't know.
I think it was her.
Oh, bull. But anyway, it was a dumb thing, and we lucked out the way it did. And I told Betty, I said, you really did the right thing.
Oh, yeah.
Even though she's how scared to death, and she told her mother, and her mother called my daddy. I wonder what would have happened. Would we have gone back? I don't know. Probably so. We're so stupid.
You probably would have.
I'm sure you didn't want to
So-
be married. I did. Well, I did.
How long have you been married again?
Well, it's been 66 years.
66, yeah.
Married at 20.
Be 67 in November.
So what do you think the secret is to a happy marriage? And I want you to answer individually.
I think you've got to be romantically in love, first of all. I mean, to this day, I'm happy to see him come home. Still gives me a thrill. I think we truly have always been in love, but you've got to be patient. We've had our fights. Believe you me, we've had them. But I think love wins out. I really do.
But patience is a big
Patience
need to
you
practice.
get, yeah. And once your kids are gone and have grown up, you have a really different love. It's a peaceful love, and you enjoy doing things together. And
That's one I was telling you earlier.
And you're there for each other because we're getting frail quickly,
Yeah.
and we got to help each other now. And I think we both thought, oh God, I don't want to be the one left. I'd rather go first. So we'll see.
Granted, what about you? What do you think
Well,
makes a successful
because if we're
marriage?
going to live one life, so we can't say that someone else ought to do something. But I definitely agree with what Nanny says. And I also think you have to give and take.
You do. It's like little things now, like where do you want to eat tonight? You have to give and take those little things. you
Yeah.
know. Those are our big things this day and time. More than
Yeah.
others.
But I feel closer to her now than
Oh,
I
yeah.
ever-
Do
You
you?
do. Oh, you do. Because you need each other now, but worse, but more than you ever needed each other before. I mean, I can't go out of town and leave him at home. I would never do that now. I feel like I have a little boy again.
What do you feel like you have grown
Well,
up?
I don't know.
A mother. A mother came back.
No, we still enjoy things together.
We do. We don't enjoy TV together. We neither one like the same type of programs
Right.
at all.
That was my
Or
next question. What you
books,
don't enjoy
or
together.
Yeah,
movies.
that's it.
Or really, when
It's
you
really
get down to it, we don't like any of the same things like that at
Yeah.
all.
It's true.
Like media.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no media. And it's funny, isn't it? We do like the same foods and to do the same things,
Right.
which we don't do much except go eat.
Yep.
And go out of town when our kids will have us, or our grandchildren will have us. That's highlighting our life. I mean, you invite us to come to Austin, by God, we're coming. We love to take little mini trips,
I just think about the
Air conditioning, TV, high school. When I started,
Yeah,
remember
so,
both of those starting, cell phones, which is recent type of thing. What else was invented?
Refrigerators.
Yeah, freezers at the home.
Yep.
You didn't have to have them break. I remember this chunk of ice this man would bring
The
with
hook,
that.
right?
Yeah, with
Yeah.
the big thing, and put it in the box, And
That's
I know it's crazy. It's like, we're lucky that we've had so many things invented. I wonder in the next 60 years, will there be that many and what they could possibly be.
Yeah.
I hope I can
Automation,
see
robotics.
down through the clouds to what
Yeah.
is being invented.
So what has been the biggest thing that you've had to adjust to as far as technology goes?
A computer, because I still don't know how to do one. They have no desire to do it.
Okay.
That's me. Now,
What about you, Granddad?
Well, it was for me too. So what happened, I was hired by IBM because I was an engineer. And they were hiring only engineers in this program because they needed someone that could explain something complicated to a customer. So that was the program I'm in. Well, as an engineer, I had no education in business or anything like that. So IBM hired me in that program, and I really didn't want to do that. I really wanted to be in the systems engineering, the technical part. They wanted me to be a salesman. And so I'm saying, no, I'd rather be a systems engineer. No, you need to be. Anyway, after 80 interviews, I went to work for IBM. And so they sent us off, we didn't know anything, 6 weeks in Seattle to learn accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll, and of course it was like a whole different world. Well, back then we had the punch cards. I don't know if y'all remember seeing a punch card, but that was it. And there were no, everything that went in also came out in punch cards. So if you asked it a question or something, it'd punch it out on a punch card. And so when we finished using these punch cards to do all this work, they bring in the computer. And the computer is printing stuff out. Yeah, you want to know what? And also doing it in no time, and you didn't have to put it through all these machines or anything. I'm thinking, whoa. And so we asked the question, why didn't you show us this originally? He said, you wouldn't have appreciated it if we had, now you do. And that was it.
So, Granddad, you had mentioned you wanted to talk about some trips that you had with Ann and Gil.
Yeah,
Let's
we
talk
spent
about that.
But we took a lot with Bobby and Dick.
And, yeah.
Yeah, we did. I guess our trips were after the kids were gone. That was one of the main things we did.
Right, we did, and we loved every
It was
second
wonderful.
of it.
And so we went all through Europe, Alaska, South America, and those trips were terrific.
Africa, Israel.
So what was your favorite trip out of everywhere you've been in the world?
Africa.
Tell me more. Why?
Because I love animals so much. And to see them in the wild, what height I'll never forget. We hadn't been there very long, and you didn't even miss me, but I could have been.
Yeah, I did.
Well,
I was looking for you.
Well, it was so funny. We'd all been eating, and then this guide came and he said, come, come, come. And I couldn't understand what he was trying to say. But anyway, I'm just prancing right after him through the far jungle and all. And I'm thinking, suppose somebody's going to kill me or animals going to eat me. Well, I just kept on running after him, and up here in this tree was this leopard up there. Cheetah, probably.
Here's the leopard.
It was a leopard up there in the tree. They had the spotlights on him, and he was eating a kill up there, and he wanted me to see it. And it was from here to that next room, from me.
That's crazy.
I mean, you were part of the world. You were part of nature. If you ever have a trip, can go to Africa, I just think it takes you back to, I can't put it in words, but it's so basic.
You've mentioned to me on numerous occasions when you landed and you got off the plane and you.
That was me.
Okay, how did that make you feel?
So,
what did you feel like?
It was really weird. First of all, I agree with Nanny on that was the best trip, and I didn't want to go.
Oh yeah, you didn't care about going.
I know But go out there and see a bunch of animals, I was
He thought it was going to be
anyway.
like a zoo.
Yeah, I kind of guess it.